If you were to analyze all of the interstellar navies from across alternate worlds, identify what doctrines they use, pick out which elements of their fleets are the most important and which are the least, I think you'd see a kind of pattern emerge. Most often, I'd even say 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's some kind of space fighter that plays the decisive role. Capital ships might have their uses, but smaller, more nimble fighters make up the bulk of a fleet's striking power and are most responsible for achieving whatever their fleet's objective might be. And this shouldn't be entirely unexpected, because since 1940 or so, this is exactly how fleet actions here on Earth have played out. Fighters hosted aboard carriers have completely overtaken battleships and cruisers as the main fighting force of any fleet. Now, this isn't always the case. There are many interstellar navies in which fighters play a more supportive role, or perhaps an equal role to other elements, but I think it's rare to find an interstellar navy in which fighters don't play a substantial role at all. And yet, when we look at the major powers of the Alpha and Beta Quadrants, the United Federation of Planets, the Klingon Empire, the Romulan Star Empire, the Cardassian Union, this seems to be exactly the case. In place of starfighters being the deciding or at least a critical factor in any fleet action, we see something more akin to the early 20th century or even the Age of Sail here on Earth, where fleet actions are decided by heavily armed and armored battleships, or at least their interstellar equivalents. So why is this? Or to put it another way, why doesn't Starfleet Command use fighters? I can already hear some people screaming, well, Starfleet Command did use fighters. Just look at Operation Return, in which Federation attack fighters led the assault into the Dominion's lines. But I think Operation Return is the exception that proves the rule, because even during the height of the Dominion War, this was the only major battle in which these fighters played a major role. I could be wrong, but I always got the sense that these fighters weren't really fighters at all, but hastily repurposed courier vessels mobilized into service by a desperate Starfleet. They weren't an integral part of Starfleet's doctrine. And I think their performance during Operation Return gives enough evidence as to why they weren't a standard part of Federation fleets. They took tremendous losses. And it all comes down to the use of phasers. When we compare phasers or disruptors or whatever to the weapons from alternate worlds used to shoot down X-Wings or Star Furies or Vipers, phasers are incredibly accurate. Unlike ballistic munitions, which rely on a huge rate of fire to hit their targets, or guided missiles, which can be susceptible to countermeasures, phasers act almost more like lightning bolts, hitting their targets almost instantaneously. And it doesn't seem to matter if the ship they're being fired at is a slow, lumbering cruiser or a smaller, agile shuttlecraft. Their accuracy is nearly perfect. Shields are the only real defense against a phaser, and this reduces naval combat to a battle of reactor size. Which ship can put out the most power? Well, in this, a fighter's always going to come out worse. I think as soon as modern phasers got their accuracy to where it is now, sometime in the early 24th century, the fighters' days were numbered. And it's an interesting idea. Just as carriers made battleships obsolete, perhaps evolving technology could reinvigorate the idea of the battleship and make the carrier obsolete. Who knows? At the very least, it's intriguing to see interstellar warfare play out in a slightly different manner. But that, of course, is just my opinion. And even though I've never been wrong before, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you think Starfleet Command and the other major powers of the Alpha and Beta Quadrants didn't use fighters for some other reason? Do you disagree with the entire premise of this video and can bring up some examples when the Federation did use fighters to critical effect? Do you think it's weird that the Riemann Warbird Scimitar was full of attack fighters that were never used? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, this has been a Templin Dispatch.